Our notes tonight are about the structure of the U.S. Constitution. So we're going to take a look at what is in the Constitution itself and sort of how our government is set up. And if you start at the beginning of the Constitution, the first thing that you are going to come to is called the Preamble. And this is where we get, we the people. So the word pre kind of clues you in into where it's located, right? Pre, before. So it's kind of before the main body. It's the introduction. So what is the Preamble? It is the opening sentence of the Constitution. And it's kind of a long sentence, but it's one sentence. And it begins famously with "We the people," and it establishes that the people are the source of power and authority in America. So right from the very beginning, it says "we the people," right? That it's going to be the people that give the government the power. It also establishes goals for the government, and there are several of them, like establish justice and provide for the common defense. So it sort of sets a broad purpose for the government. It says, here's the goals that we're aiming for. And remember, you can always pause this video as needed in order to get the notes down. So after the introduction, after the preamble, comes the main body of the Constitution, and those are called the Articles. Don't confuse this with the Articles of Confederation. This is the Constitution, and it's made up of 7 different articles. So think of it as like a section. And what the articles do is they establish the structure of the government. They are this is like the blueprints. This is what our government is going to look like. So we're going to take a look at each article. Article 1 sets up the legislative branch, and it's by far the longest of the 7 articles. The legislative branch in our country is called Congress, and Congress's main job is to make the laws. Some of the powers that the Constitution gives to the legislative branch, and only the legislative branch, are the power to collect taxes. Right? If you remember, that's something that we didn't have in the Articles of Confederation, and it made the government too weak. Congress has the power to declare war, and Congress has the power to coin money. So only Congress can make money. No more having different currencies for different states. We're going to have one set of money, and Congress is the one that can make it. Now, these are certainly not the only powers that Congress has. There's some other really important ones too. These are just some examples. Article 2 sets up the executive branch. And in our country, the executive is called the president. And the president's main job is to enforce the laws. Some powers that the Constitution gives to only the president. The president is the commander of our armed forces. So he commands the military. The president has the power to make treaties with foreign countries. And the president has the important power to appoint people to high-ranking positions. So we're talking there about things like appointing people to the Supreme Court or appointing ambassadors to other countries. Article 3 sets up the judicial branch, the third branch of government. And in our country, the top court is called the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court's main job, is to interpret the laws. Some of the powers that the Supreme Court has, and only the Supreme Court, is the power to review decisions of the lower courts, to rule on cases that involve 2 states, and, most importantly, to decide whether laws are constitutional. Article 4 moves into some different areas. And there's a couple important parts to Article 4 that involve relations among or between the states in our country. One part of it is called the Full Faith and Credit Clause. And so what that basically means is that states have to honor the laws of other states. So if Virginia gives me a driver's license and I want to go drive on the roads in North Carolina, I don't need to go get a North Carolina driver's license to drive there because they're going to honor Virginia's laws. Now, if I move there, that's different. But just to drive there, I don't have to go through a whole new set of laws. They're going to honor the laws of other states. Treatment of citizens means that states are not allowed to discriminate against residents of another state. So again, Virginia can't say anyone's welcome to come here and have some privilege except for residents of Pennsylvania. You can't do that. You have to respect and not discriminate against residents of another state. It says in Article 4 that only Congress can create new states. And it promises each state a representative government and promises to protect each state from attack. It says, hey, the Constitution says you are guaranteed that you will have a representative government and the national government will step up and protect you from attack. Article 5 discusses the amendment process. An amendment simply means a formal change to the Constitution. To amend something is to change it. And why do we have this? Well, the framers, the guys who wrote the Constitution, understood that it might be necessary to change it from time to time. They knew that it wasn't perfect, and as time went by, it might need to change. And in fact, one of the very first things that the new government does is pass the document that's in that picture there, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments to the Constitution are passed almost right away because they knew they needed to make some changes to it in order to get everyone to agree to it. Article 6 has to do with the supreme law of the land, and it includes what's called the Supremacy Clause, which just says that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So no law is higher than the Constitution. And it establishes that if state laws conflict with national laws, then the national laws will win. So we do have a federal system where the states have some power and the national government has some power. But it says if there's a conflict, the national government will come out on top. And the last article, Article 7, very short, it has to do with ratification. And basically it just says that you're going to have at least 9 of the 13 states ratify or approve the Constitution in order for it to go into effect. So this gives you a short, to-the-point breakdown of each article of the Constitution, gives you an idea of what's in it and how our government is set up. Also included in the Constitution are going to be the amendments, which we will talk about in a little more detail in our next set of notes.